Economy to review the affairs of the National Social Investment Program. Today, the committee has finished its job. About 6 ministers are involved. Like I said, the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy is the chairman. It had the Minister of Health, Minister of Budget and National Planning, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, and the Honorable Minister of State for Youth. They were all members of that committee. All of them served in that committee, and the report has been submitted. An interim report, actually, a final one is going to go to Mr. President. It has been submitted today, considered by Council, and submitted to the President. I will now call on the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy to discuss some of those aspects that were discussed today that are of relevance to Nigerians to know.
To ensure the implementation of the proposed changes, FEC set up an 8-man committee with a mandate to implement the mergers, scrappings, and relocations within 12 weeks. The committee comprised Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Head of the Civil Service, Attorney General and Justice Minister, Budget and Planning Minister, DG Bureau of Public Service Reform, Special Advisor to the President on Policy Coordination, Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly. The Cabinet Affairs Office will serve as the Secretariat.
Direct payments to 12 million households comprising 60 million Nigerians is to resume immediately with the proviso, with the important proviso that every beneficiary will be identified by their NIN, National Identity Number, and their BVN, Bank Verification Number. And so therefore, payments will be made into bank accounts or mobile money wallets, so that whether it is before or after, there is verification of the identity of beneficiaries. Each person that receives 25,000 naira for a total of 3 months will be identifiable. Even after they have received the money, it will be clear who it went to and when it went to them.
The workers under the aegis of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, Ogun State Chapter, shut down the State High Court and Magistrate Court in Isabo, Abeokuta, the state capital. When our correspondent visited the court on Monday, litigants and lawyers were stranded as judges were prevented from carrying out their duties. Speaking to our correspondent, the state chairman of JUSN, Olanrewaju Ajiboye, said that the workers were forced to embark on the strike following the refusal of the state government to accede to their demands. According to Ajiboye, the union embarked on the strike following the expiration of the 21-day ultimatum issued to the state government.
Precisely, the state government commenced payment of no-peculiar allowance to the core civil servants at Okemoso. Immediately we are aware of the situation, we inform our national body, who wrote 3 letters, one to the head of service, 2 to the government directly on the matter. And the head of service has called meeting of the union with the stakeholders to discuss the way forward. And the reason given to the union for the government not to pay the money is not tenable and it's not acceptable by the union. That's 5 days. Let me add this. On the 3rd of February 2024, the union held its congress here at Shabo premises, where 21-day ultimatum was issued to the state government to do the needful, failure of which will lead to 5-day warning strike, after which we proceed on the day strike. That is why, as of today, we've commenced the 5-day warning strike, starting from today. If in between government fail to call the union to a meeting for the way forward, then the strike will last for the 5 days. Thereafter, when it comes 18th of March, the union will commence the indefinite strike.
The Borno State Governor, Babagana Zulum, has allocated 447 housing estates, providing food, palliatives, among others, to displaced persons in Dalari community under Kondugu local government. The new returnees were given foodstuff, mats, blankets, and clothing materials. More than 2,500 households benefited from the housing scheme, which comprises school, hospital, and water facilities.
Formal IDP camps in Maiduguri. Borno State government has successfully completed closure of all formal IDP camps in Maiduguri about a year ago. Now we have started closure of all informal camps within Maiduguri Metropolitan Council and its environs. And I want to instruct the local government chairman to immediately start the process of resettling people of Sandia. I want to get a report from him on the situation report of Sandia and Delwa in partnership with the Ministry for Tribal Art. Another community that we want to resettle is Aulari community. And I believe all these three communities will be resettled this year, 2024, inshallah, with the glory of God.
The Nigeria Customs Service has commenced investigation of an officer alleged to have extorted 500,000 naira from a car buyer identified as Mohammed Dahiru Ahmad along the Makwa-Jebba Road in Niger State. The Controller Federal Operations Unit Zone B, Kaduna, Dala Chedi, handed over the officer to the Assistant Provost Marshal of the Customs Police Unit at the headquarters of the unit in Kaduna. While addressing journalists on the matter, Shadi confirmed that a suspected officer involved in the unwholesome act is indeed an operative of the unit deployed to the Mokwa patrol team in Niger State, and the unfortunate incident occurred in early hours of Thursday, February 22, as reported by the complainant. Now moving on to other parts of Africa. Senegal's President Macky Sall has announced plans for a general amnesty for political demonstrators from 2021 to 2024, seeking to ease tensions ahead of upcoming elections. In a significant move towards reconciliation, President Sall expressed his intention to submit a bill to the National Assembly calling for amnesty for political acts related to demonstrations during the specified period. Despite Sall's reassurances, the 16 presidential candidates have boycotted the national dialogue, demanding immediate clarity on the election date following a court order earlier this month. The member nations will discuss issues such as banning subsidies contributing to overfishing and digital taxation against the backdrop of instability and the uneven recovery from the pandemic. The outcome of deliberations of the WTO's topmost decision-making body will be closely watched. Director Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala warned of the daunting task ahead.
Let's not pretend that any of this will be easy. If we thought the world looked tough in mid-2022, when we were slowly emerging from the pandemic and the war in Ukraine had shaken food and energy security, we are in an even tougher place today. Looking around, uncertainty and instability are everywhere. Geopolitical tensions have worsened. Conflict has spread, as we see here in the Middle East, and away from the headlines across parts of Africa and the Arab world. We must not forget the conflict in Sudan, which has displaced close to 8 million people internally and across borders, or the conflict in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
The WTO's General Council chairperson emphasized the urgency of the gathering, as Ali Alisiba stressed the need for collective action amidst economic uncertainties and geopolitical tensions. Alisiba underscores the importance of steering the WTO towards effectively addressing
higher prices for food, energy, fertilizer, and other essentials continue to weigh on people's purchasing power, fueling political frustration. Shipping disruptions in vital waterways like the Red Sea and the Panama Canal are a new source of delays and inflationary pressure, offering a real-time reminder of the risks posed to global trade and output by security problems and the climate crisis.
And moving on to news from outside Africa. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shia announced Monday the resignation of his government, which rules parts of the Israeli-occupied West Bank, citing the need for change after the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza ends. Shia submitted the resignation to the leader of the Ramallah-based Palestinian Authority, President Mahmoud Abbas, 88, whose office later said he accepted it. The United States and other powers have called for a reformed Palestinian Authority to take charge of all Palestinian territories after the end of the war sparked by Hamas's October 7 attack. Shia cited developments related to the aggression against the Gaza Strip and the escalation in the West Bank and Jerusalem, which have also been turned by deadly violence during the war. He said he had first offered Abbas the resignation last Tuesday, but was formally submitting it in writing on Monday. Now moving on to business. The Group Managing Director of CFL Group, Lai Omotola, has urged President Bola Tinubu to sign an executive order prohibiting dollar cash transactions to save the naira from further depreciation. Omotola noted that several economic policies introduced by the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria had not saved the local currency from losing its value. Concerned about the free fall of the naira and the hardship Nigerians were grappling with, he called on the masses to offer sincere contributions to the government on how to save the economy for the betterment of the country. Omotola also recommended a total ban on street vending of dollars, adding that amnesty should be given to everyone paying dollar cash for the next 90 days, and such cash lodgement should not be probed by any security agency. And in entertainment, American rapper Kanye West has called out sportswear manufacturer Adidas for producing fake variants of its patented Yeezy footwear. In a video he posted on Instagram, Kanye accused Adidas of using contract clauses and 50 years of business experience to cheat him, and that the company intends to also sue him for $250 million. This would not be the first time Adidas and Kanye have been engaged over profits and ownership of the Yeezy brand, with both parties getting into an infamous spat in late 2022 to early 2023. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Shade Uwe. Many thanks for watching.
I will take you through this amazing lesson today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
The pandemic opened the world to a new dispensation regarding work. How people work and the career paths they take differ from generation to generation. There are 5 generations present in the modern workplace, each with unique expectations and perspectives. A person's career path is described as the work they do and the roles they hold as they climb up the ladder. Before the millennium, career paths for many was simply linear, which could be a person working at the same organization and growing there till they retired, or a person working in the same role but changing jobs a couple of times. Security and staying power were the cornerstone of this career path. However, with modern technology, a person's career path can be as multifaceted and versatile as the individual wishes. Millennials now work multiple roles in their career trajectories, pursue numerous passions that are sometimes interwoven, and work at different roles in their journeys. Baby boomers and Generation X only considered a job good if it gave them the security to work there till they retire. But for millennials and Gen Z, the workplace has changed and so has the career structure. Millennials often change their career paths or juggle multiple interests simultaneously. Being able to move from one job to another might signal a person's employability and adaptability. Baby boomers tend to believe that working long hours is what defines success and value face-to-face interactions with co-workers. In contrast, millennials believe that innovation and flexibility are key ingredients for success at work. The shift in occupational structures, for example, the increasing gig economy, is leading to polarization in employment, wages, and inequalities. From remote work policies to virtual leadership, the pandemic changed how we work. The opportunity to telework increased for some, such as knowledge workers, but not for frontline workers. Among the benefits are an improved work-life balance for some, as well as changed attitudes to well-being. Teleworking can lead to a higher productivity and lower operating costs for companies. Work is increasingly flexible and decentralized. Working from home or out of a workspace is favored by many because of the flexibility that comes with it. Millennials and Gen Zs prefer flexible work schedules and part-time hours so that they can balance their work and life compared to older generations who prefer security.
Some people are social people. You know, when they go to the office, they have friends everywhere. Good morning. How was the football match? You know, you just with your colleagues and stuff like that. That social element at work, a lot of people need it. Me personally, I'm an extrovert, but I'm also high on the introverted side. I like going to parties, I like making friends, but I also like keeping to myself. So at work, I'm not the friendliest. I would smile, I would say hi, but I don't need to. So it depends on your personality and what you need. For me, work from home works a lot for me because I get to spend time with my family. I'm always in the house with my partner, and that really makes me happy.
You're welcome to Ways Exclusive. Now, Ways Exclusive was created specially so we can feature top leaders, policymakers across various sectors in Nigeria. And today we're super honored to be having one of the biggest media moguls in Nigeria. He is the Group Executive Director of Media Reach OMD. None other than the most sought after person in the media industry, Mr. Yinka Adebayo. It is such an honor to have you here, sir.
Thank you so much. You are nice to be here.
As in,
point of correction, really, I'm actually the Group Executive Director.
Sorry.
Omnicom Media.
Sorry, Group Executive Director.
Omnicom Media Group, West and Central Africa.
Oh, no longer Media Reach.
No, because Media Reach is Nigeria.
Oh,
but
wow.
now,
so it is
so now across West and Central.
I've lost touch.
Anyway.
That's shame on me. Whoa. So this is now transcending across,
West and Central Africa.
The
business is expanding. Some of our clients are traveling along that region, and we need to be sure that we are there ahead of them so that we can make sure that the quality of service they are enjoying here, they are having it across board.
Wow. Now you see why we brought him, right? Because again, on Ways Exclusive, we try as much as possible to bring culture shapers, the people that influence, there are key people of influence in different sectors of the economy, and you are a key influence in the media space. Oh my goodness, I just learned something new. See, Uncle Yinka, you should be coming close to me more often, because we've lost touch.
Too much away, don't worry. We'll make it closer and better.
Thank you so much for being here. So when I finally got a yes from you to say that we're going to be having this conversation, I thought in my head, where do I start this conversation? Because everybody knows Yinka Adebayo in the media space. Like literally anywhere you go, that you say you want to go out and do anything media, there's always one name they always call me, Yinka Adebayo, Yinka Adebayo. So I kept on thinking in my head, did this germ, did he just wake up one day and say, okay, you know what, it's media I'm doing from day one. I got it all figured out. This is where I'm going. Or was there a journey before media? And if, there was a journey before media, what inspired you coming into the media space?
Well, thank you so very much. Very, very loaded and beautiful question. And this brings me back to, you see, I think it's by God's design. And I'm going to say this with a sense of modesty. It's more like the profession called me rather than me going for it, really. My plan before was going to the higher institution, go and study biz admin or accountancy. That was my dream. But all of a sudden, I tried. I think I was disappointed. I didn't get admission. And all of a sudden, an institution called me to say, come and study mass comm. And I said, okay, fine. Let me just go in there, stopgap, so that I'll still go back to my... And lo and behold, first year, you are in class and everything you thought was turning to gold. I recall I wrote this news story then. When we were in the print journalism class, I wrote a story. And the lecturer singled it out. I said, whoever has written this story deserves to be the editor at Daily Times. And he read this. In fact, the headline of that story, I still have it here. The headline then was, the federal government has again been commended for introducing the Structural Adjustment Program, SAP, which has turned many Nigerians into innovative elements rather than mass men. The lecturer said that intro alone was a killer, that can make the headline of any publication. And I was like, And you see, that's just a couple of things. God has a way of preparing you for the role ahead. And I recall going to mass comm, I recall when I was young, whenever my dad was taking me to school, he would just buy a copy of Daily Times, drop it on my lap, and said I should be reading to his hearing. And to him, he was just preparing not to say, you need to know how to read, you need to get... So I was reading to his hearing. So when I was given the task in the higher institution to say, write the story, it became natural. So I just wrote it, and it wasn't until that my script was picked up and read out to the whole class to say this. And I now realized, actually, this training, I got it unconsciously in the course of reading newspaper.
Conscious learning.
And so staying in there after the first year, I just felt, look, rather than go for mass comm, this seems attractive. I discovered there's print journalism, there's broadcast journalism, there's advertising, there's PR. And they look attractive and exciting to me, more so that God seems to be blessing a couple of things you are doing in the class there. So I just kept in, and to God be the glory. Here we are today. Whoa. And that was how I got into advertising, and it's been amazing.
Whoa. Whoa, this is a powerful story. I mean, it just brings to mind how impactful, some level of subtle parenting can be in the life. I mean, I'm sure if your dad is available now, he will be super proud to say, you know what, this thing actually paid off.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's late now, but all through the life is always like, and I told him that, Daddy, that thing you started, I said, no, don't do it just to prepare me to say, hey, you need to be able to read, to brush up your English. I didn't know it was actually something
that would transform your entire life. I mean, because you are a name, you are a big name. I mean, it's a big thing. You just answered the defining moment, what changed, what decided, this is what I want to do. But I wanted to ask now, in the course of the journey as a media entrepreneur, right, what was that one thing that you just said, you know what? Because people have switched careers. I mean, you see what is happening today in the economy. Like, a lot of people are having to do all sorts of odd jobs, They don't have that stay power in a particular industry because they feel like, this is not paying enough. But you saw a lot of things. I'm sure you must have seen something that said, you know what, regardless, we're going to weather the storm and we're going to stay in and stay put here. What was that thing for you?
Well, I think for me too, I was fortunate. During school, you had to go in for your IT, so I was privileged to do my intern with Promoserve Limited. And I recall then I was determined, and I knew then, while I was growing up, I was hearing story of people after work, they are not getting job and all of that. And here was a friend to my dad who was able to get me into because one of his cousin was working in Promoserve then. You know, Charles Ojugbana of NTA had a brother, Nkem Ojugbana, who was working with Promoserve then. So he got me into Promoserve, and being privileged to work in a very structured, established advertising firm like that, because the name was big. Then while in school, we were hearing Promoserve. So you've been privileged to get in. I say, I haven't gotten in here, I'm not going to get out. And luckily enough, I think Promoserve, they have this slogan on the wall: we emphasize results, not effort. I think it was powerful. I picked up that thing from the wall, and immediately I just internalized it. So anytime I go out for an assignment or I'm doing any particular thing, I give it my best to make sure that, because the organization has said clearly, we emphasize results, not effort.
So don't
so
do
if you like,
we see around.
go travel over the Lagos. What did you bring in? If the result is not there, then you've not done nothing. So, and that was the propelling force. So each time I go to the likes of NTA to go and make bookings or any of the station, I just must achieve results. And that was the driving force, that was the propellant force. And that trained me to imbibe the culture of saying every assignment I take on, I take it on as if it's the first, but I do it as if it's the last.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, so I was just going to say to you that, I mean, every time I see Uncle Yinka, he's always smiling. Like, literally, it's almost like this man does not have any problem in this world. You know, because you are always in good spirit, in high spirit, right? I can't but help to ask about challenges, because every time I've seen you, honestly speaking, I just quietly observe, like, this man, you know, the vex, you know, like, literally, right? And why I ask this question is, with what we see today, little things, people just come up with mental health and all of that. You've been in a, see, media is not an easy industry to work with in Nigeria, right? And you've done it so well now that now you are controlling, you know, more African nations, right, continents and all of that. So it means that there has to be something that helps you deal with challenges. And have you ever had like a major challenge, you know, that, you know, you say this one was really, because you are always smiling. So I don't know.
Well, there have been a whole lot, and there will always be. But I think I always take it from the cliches that says crisis will always be the best platform for a good manager to excel. If you're not faced with that, so don't waste a crisis. When you are faced with a crisis, know that there's an opportunity in there for you. It's like you see the cup. Look at this cup, water is inside. Is it that you see it as half full or half empty? How you see it determines how you travel. So when challenges come like that, I tend to look at this as an opportunity. All I need to do is to pull back, take it in at your stride, and possibly by the time, and oftentimes when you summon such challenges, you look back and say, damn, I wish it's even bigger and better, because oftentimes the result is always amazing. When you summon some of those challenges, so the result is always amazing. So that has always been the propellant force to say, hey, when there's a challenge, they come often, whether from clients, whether from, even internally, a couple of things will come that will shake you. But just be professional, just be fair, and most importantly, be prayerful. Because that divine direction is always coming from God. There are some cases where I've held up. Well, I've tried my best, I've thought about it, there's no solution. I don't leave it to God. It will come back, give you the direction, and by the time you take that instruction, you navigate it, you'll be amazed at the results. So, so you just take it in your drive, smile about it, because of course the devil is observing too. He does, okay, I've done that thing, it's getting at him. No, don't make it look, this guy is part of everything he's trying. So that
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I agree 100% with you. There are some things that I've just gotten to that stage, especially the way our dollar is going. I've just said, Father, Lord, you know, I leave it in your hands. I don't want to worry my head about this, because, you know, there are some challenges you really can't, you know, handle by yourself.
Don't trouble yourself over it. Just to ensure that you've done your best, God will do the rest.
Absolutely. So I was just going to ask, right, because again, your industry is an ever-evolving industry. It's always changing. So many new things are coming. You know, you have seen all sorts. Like, literally, you've seen us from, will I say newspaper now? I don't know what your time was. Yeah, I think it's even before newspaper.
In the 80s.
Yes. You know how they used to switch on TV at 4 p.m.
I was telling some people yesterday, I said, look, God has this in daily times, if you want to book an advert for next Friday, if you are not there by now, you can't get space. It's fully booked. But over time now, even the newspapers are begging for advert these days. The pendulum has shifted. So we witnessed it.
You understand? So literally you have passed through all the phases when it comes to the media space, agencies, advertising, and all of that, right? You've seen us grow from where we were, you know, print media, then it was only television, terrestrial, then it became cable network. We're now moving into like online TV. Now we're seeing so many competition. Now your competitors have just a smartphone, right? as opposed to the other transactions that, that were happening before. Before, for you to pick a live signal, you had to go and get an OB van, get this, get that. But now technology has so much, transformed the way the media space has evolved, right? But you see, there's one thing that has been consistent, your ability to navigate it through all that changing phases. You're like the RMD in, RMD is in media, is movies in Nollywood. You are the RMD in media.
That's a big one. I hope my status has actually grown to that.
You have, because, staying relevant, and, look at what you just said now about media houses begging for this, begging for that. That's not your case, right? You are the ones even like setting the pace and saying this is what we're doing, this is the direction. So how has that relevance, been possible? How have you been able to stay relevant amidst the very quick, ever-changing evolution that is happening within the media space?
Interesting.
Yeah, so I came for you today.
Okay, no problem. God will empower me too. But really, I always tell people, you see, if only we can do 50% of what we do to brands, to ourselves, we won't be the same person. Some brands have been forever, 100 years, they're still relevant today. So why as an individual can't we? We are telling brand, such brand, what do? We recommend to them, go and re-strategize, go and repackage, go and re-strategize, go and re-evaluate, go and reinvent yourself. As an individual, we're reinventing ourselves. We need to keep involved. The world is evolving. You need to keep on. You cannot be packaging brands and leave yourself unpackaged. So if only you package yourself, you position yourself, you re-strategize, you reinvent yourself. What's the trending thing? Get on the train. I always challenge my young guys to say, hey guys, you guys are the digital hit, me I'm the analog. I transited from analog to digital, but if you get to digital, I'm going to trend more than you in that your space. And it's always been happening. I'll tell them post on.
Can I check your TikTok account?
Please go ahead. You'll be shocked. You'll be amazed. Even my son was shocked to say that my friends are telling me you are. That's the way to be. And that's the thing. So you keep on evolving. You cannot afford to be a dinosaur. It's an evolving world. So you keep on changing, you keep on, and make sure that you go with the trend. Nobody wants to identify with the dying us. So you must make sure that you are alive. I always tell people, as you grow the brand, make sure you grow yourself. Because if care is not taken, the brand you grow today, rather than look up to you, will look down on you. Because the brand is here, you are still here. And it gets to a point where the brand look up, where is the person that grew me? Oh, you sit down. And I look for somebody in my category, and that's where some people get dropped. So you must be, as you are packaging and making sure that the brand is growing, make sure you are growing as fast, so that you are the same pair, not that the brand is ahead of you.
Absolutely.
It's been a constant, deliberate, and conscious.
And from what you just said, it means that, your consciousness and the intentionality has also been what has also kept you, to the point where you are the group, managing director at the level of controlling, what's it called, beyond, your nationality where you started. Some other people, I'm sure some of your peers, have not been able to attain, and somebody will sit and say, the man is using juju, Nigerians, but I believe it.
Because all of these things really boils down to the fact that you need to be deliberate, you need to be focused, you need to be intentional, and you need to be such that you see the end from the beginning to say, this action, where is it likely to lead? Oftentimes, that enables you to take control of the narrative, rather than the narrative taking control of you, and you're able to share the cause.
Absolutely. So if we bring it down, because this is the buzzword that has been all over the place for a while now, and I want to hear your perspective from the media space, right? When you hear diversion or diversity and inclusion, right? When it comes to, of course, gender and all of those things, right? And I think that the media has played a major role. If you had looked at television many years ago, you wouldn't see many young people, you won't see many children, women, you won't see young people on TV. But these days, you get to see a plethora of different people across all ages, right? Young people, middle-aged people, older generation, all of them, and that's because there was an intentionality with, diversity and inclusion, right? So when you hear that word, diversity and inclusion, as a media person, what comes to your mind? Is it an excitement for you, or, what do you think about it?
Well, for me, I think it's really of a great excitement because it's something that has always been there. And I think it's part of the evolution that we spoke about. When we are growing up, you are a kid, you are just to be seen, not to be heard. But these days, the kids are asking questions. I tell somebody, when we are growing up, if daddy said, go and read your book, the only thing you do is just to go in, read your book. But these days, if you tell your kid to go and read, because, daddy, I don't remember the last time I saw you reading newspaper. So what was I? So you must actually, and oftentimes these days, you find out that they learn more from what we do than what we say. What that calls for is that those guys are, the Sorosoke slogan is not by accident. Those people are asking fundamental questions, and it behoves on us not to challenge it, but to make sure that we are constructive, we are deliberate, we are intentional, and we are creative in how we do it. Because if you found one thing, yeah, God save you, you'll be. But if you are found to be very constructive, they will respect you, and they'll give it to you. So these days, you find out that respect oftentimes is not what you ask for, it's what you earn. And once you earn it, believe me and you, they will be. I think I had a challenge in that space when I was training my kids. They just graduated in Canada now.
Yes, I saw that. I was going to say, if I want to double for you, because anybody that is training a child right now.
But I was a child when I got into Unilag, but I noticed a trend then. Each time I get to, when I was growing up, when my dad gets back from work, I'll just allow him to go and take his back, and when he's eating, it's opportunity to sit beside him, exchange. If I have things to request, he will. But this one, anytime I get to him, the guy will just leave the sitting room from me and just go upstairs. I told him, Mom, is your son avoid him? He said no, but I was studying. But no problem. But when it got to a time where I needed to cage him, to put him behind, to say, hey, your dad is not something to be, it's not somebody to be ignored. I had to. And once you did that, you find out anywhere he goes, because people are looking for that. I mean, they are looking for, idols that they can be proud of. They're willing to show up. It's a very competitive world out there, and parents must position themselves in such a way that you live, you walk the talk, and they are observing. If you are known to be saying this and you are doing, oftentimes, you are just there, the need for me is just the money. But if you are really walking the talk, they respect you, they value you, they're able to now internalize some of those values that you are trying to preach to them, and before you know it, they grow with it. So you
see why you're the man of impact? I was just going to ask you that, because again, drawing from what you've just said, right? My next line of question was going to go around the culture. You are very big on culture, like trying to preserve our culture, preserve this, preserve that. Why is that important for you as a media person, Is it something that is just, okay, I just want to do it because, again, it's part of the buzzwords that are around? Or is actually something that is much deeper than that? Hearing you talk about your son and, how you are intentional about, imbibing certain cultures in him, right? So how are you, because I see that you do that a lot. You even support a lot of brands, that have those, strong cultural. Why is that so?
Sure, because we have a very rich culture that should not be undermined. But all we need to do is that, like I said, positioning it very well. You see, positioning, oftentimes, people tend to mistake positioning as what you do to the product. No. Yeah, the product can be right, but what you do to people's mind that makes people to say, hey, irrespective of whatever, I want to identify with this. You position it very well, and that's why we need to make conscious effort to make sure that some of those are cultural values, very rich. People are beginning to appreciate and value it now, unlike in the past, because we've not been deliberate about positioning it very well. Because when you're positioning it very well, even your enemy will fight for you. To say, yeah, I don't like in kind of this rebel, but when it comes to this and this, well, I doff my heart for him. And that's positioning. Positioning is what will make people to say something about you. And those people have not met you, they've not seen, but they'll say, look, from what I see of that guy, it must be this. But man, why? Anybody can be anything. But because you've been positioned well, and that's what we're trying to do with our culture, to say, hey, let's position it right. So that look at what our music has done. Look at what our Nollywood has done. There are some people who listen to our music, they don't understand the language, but does the rhythm, and they look at us more. They feed us from our own energy. Nobody understands Buga, but all the white guys, they just say, hey, Buga, oh, Buga, oh. Nobody understands.
They don't know the meaning.
They don't know the meaning. But they're looking at the musician, and they're looking at Nigerians, and they see the passion you are putting, and they say, damn, there must be something in there. Whatever it is, man, let's feed off that energy. And before you know it. So that's what we need to do. Positioning it very well, packaging it, positioning it very well, and you can see that people come into embrace. We can't teach them their own culture, but we can project our own just in such a way that they value. It's so attractive, they value it, they appreciate it, and before you know it, they will imbibe it, and that will create opening and respect for us a whole lot more.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're so spot on. So I was going to touch a bit on, because again, part of what you say that you have to package it nicely and beautifully. Both of us were talking behind the scenes, and I was saying to you that, media is a lot of money. You have to have the liver to be able to go into the media space, because it's actually consuming in terms of the kind of investment that you want, especially if you want to do it the right way, right? So literally, right, in your opinion, how do you think financing how would you look at financing in the media space? And if you had the opportunity to create policies around finance for the media entrepreneurs, media, what's it called, outfits and all of that, how would you position that kind of policy that will favor them?
Yeah, I think for me really is one sector that has, if there's any sector that's actually helped in one sustaining our image globally, it's actually the creative industry, meaning they need assistance. And I'm always amazed to see the level of achievement, whether it's Nollywood, whether it's even sports, whether it's music. Those guys have achieved a lot without nothing. You now imagine if they have the necessary support. So you get that. That's why I think they need to be given concession in terms of ability to access funding, to access loan at a very cheap and reasonable, because these countries are awash with talent. And there are so many musical shows, from Nigerian Idols to The Voice Nigeria to thousands and one are applying. Edis came up with Edis Award, but before Edis Award they did My Check. Thousands are always applying. These countries are awash with talent. So beyond the Burna Boys, beyond the Wizkid of this world, there are 1,001 Burna Boys still wasting away. They need to be encouraged, and we need to create a platform where some people are empowered to create a platform where we can begin to showcase some of these people. Those are sectors that we can actually fund. Because if there's anything right now, those are the sectors that are actually representing us, giving us some positive image out there. Look at the music industry, Nigerians going into O2, UK, and closing down the whole place. Look at Burna Boy. So many, look at the Nollywood sector. So meaning we've got the talent in it. That sector needs to be empowered. One of the empowerment is to create an enabling policy that enables them to have easy access to loan, then possibly support them in terms of providing the relevant, necessary infrastructure. Once all of those things are in place, the issue of let government do what they want. Let those guys, I keep on telling guys, those young guys have done things on their own. All they need to do is just create an enabling environment that will enable them demonstrate and display their talent. And the whole world, whether you embrace them or not, the whole world is ready to embrace, celebrate, and reward them.
Absolutely. So, so let me bring it back home to our small media entrepreneurs like ourselves. So most times, right, and let's bring it back to television. You know, in media, there is creativity, the drama, movies, music, and all of that. But there's television, right? And I believe television is one of the biggest shapers of culture, because you tune in every morning or every evening to a particular talk show. You want to listen to those talk shows. You want to hear new things. I remember of blessed memories, one of my coaches, RDJ, Richmond Dyer Johnson, would always say that, you know, on TV, you have the capacity to murder 1 million people in a second, right? So you need to really be intentional about what comes out of your mouth, right? But TV, right, I see a lot of great content, you know, but I don't see a lot of attention when it comes to funding and all of that. You know, I just want you to touch a little bit of, because maybe I'm biased, that's my core, right? I want to touch on a little bit of why you would not probably fund, or you would not put your ads or something on a particular content. Let's touch on that one. Then secondly, does data, you know, because all the time you hear when you go to agencies, they say, oh, data. And from my little understanding in Nigeria, I've come to realize that, maybe I might be wrong, correct me, you're my guy in the industry. I've come to realize that it's either some data are being doctored, or we really don't have the capacity to harvest, you know, good data that we can use, because again, some of these people just want to see numbers. And that's why I feel like the content creators are like taking over when it comes to getting more endorsements, brand ambassadorships and all of those things, because they can just tell you, go to my YouTube page, go to this, go to that. But traditional media, you know, I see a bit of struggle there with media houses and all of that. Do you want to touch on that? Okay.
I'll come back to that, but first to the question you asked with respect to whether content is anyone. For me, there's no content I would not want to associate with. I would not want to because it's not about us, it's not about me, it's not about the client, it's actually ultimately about the audience. And oftentimes I respect the creative, respect so much that for them to have actually thought up of an idea, I expect that some level of research would have gone into say, hey, there's an audience out there that's likely to feed off this. So certainly there's an audience to be addressed. Depending, of course, on the brand, on the focus of my brand, that will determine where to go, whether it's entertainment, whether it's drama, whether even if it's religion. Because people are in a particular state of mind where religious message gets into them, and we are brand, and that's one area.
But people need to brand Odumeji. That man is a TikTok fan.
Explore, yeah, I don't want to say with it, but religion is something that's powerful here and has a whole lot of eyeballs that you are doing. How you now navigate this creatively in such a way that your brand is not seen as pro this or pro that is something. So there's no content that can't.
You cannot associate.
No, there's no for me. So then the other question about the issue of data. Yes, I must say that data is king. Data is life. Data is everything. You see, the game we play in the marketing communication world is a game of numbers. And like they say in life, what you cannot count, you cannot manage. The moment you can count, it becomes very easy for you to manage. Because what most of the brands are brand custodians are equally challenged with to say, return on investment. If I'm investing this much onto this, what do I get in return? You must be able to show them numbers. Interestingly, those who control the big budget that we are looking for in Nigeria are multinationals, and these are guys who work in developed markets.
Simple data.
Yeah, simple data. Yes, I know how own data is a bit crooked. We are not, because the structure is not in place. But thank God that we even had something to show them. If not, the level of investment we are seeing in the marketing communication industry would not be there. Because those guys, you can't go to a client and think, you can look at it, what is he doing? I swear there was what is that doing? You see to show number, let me see the number and I'll go with you. And like you said, that's why they did SASP, because you can see, go to my, you can see the number there. But for the TV, but it's a good thing that we have something to start with. All we now need to do is also fine tune. It's not like somebody is doctoring the data or not. It's just a reflection of our society. You see, I was opportune to travel with a client from Lagos to Abuja during the early 80s. And we were in the plane and I was saying, hey, these are the kind of people I would love to talk to. But look at all of them, they are reading a particular newspaper. I said, yes, that's Nigeria for you. But wait, when we get down, let me be sure that that same paper is what they will hold. But those guys are holding differently. So oftentimes, the average, and the kind of the measure that we use to collate the data is what they call questionnaire, where I give you a question. Oftentimes, when you are asking questions, Nigeria is the kind of person that will take your questionnaire, look at you, look at the question, look at you. What does Uwe want me to write here that will project me well? That's what he will feel. A white man will pick your question, forget you, and fill in the right. So when you pick up a questionnaire from a white man, he will tell you how it is. But Nigerians, they tend to. And once you, that's the data you have gathered, that's what you eventually show. We now need to make sure that our data gathering mechanism is devoid of emotions, is devoid of feeling. So that's where people's meter, which of course the federal government trying to champion, will come into play. Where I don't need to be in your house to ask you, what program did you watch on TV yesterday? There's something in your TV that immediately that gives me to say, hey, 8 p.m. to 9, Yinka is watching this, 9 to 10 is watching that. So when we put all of those together, we can now begin to say, what is the rating? But until we get there, but I think the train has left the station, and until we get there, but we started well, so investment in that direction.
Interesting. I mean, just hearing you say that, because I remember I was in a meeting with an auntie, a big auntie of mine in the media space, and she was telling me that, what's it called? Cinema is so easy now. Like literally, they cannot even lie that this is the amount of ticket that they sold, because it is a centralized system that they've done in the cinema space. So when they tell you that they sold 50,000 tickets, they sold 50,000 tickets, because there's a mechanism that they use to collate all that data. So I can imagine if we're able to translate that.
For TV, for radio and all of that, you know what people are listening to at a particular point in time, and you cannot begin to say specifically, and that's going to be devoid of human feeling, even human interference, because the average Nigerian, they will tell you what you want to hear.
Because I was going to say that, it be like say this in a media communication industry, a man, no man. But the way you said it.
But for me too, beyond that really, for me too, I always tell people, yes, data is good, data is everything. But you cannot totally rely on data. Data will show you how to navigate. How you travel is solely yours. If you look at the radio data, I will tell you the most listened to radio station is FRCN. And what people listen on FRCN is Kokonu Weroi. Because of that, most all brands now go into Kokonu. So you look at the ambience, you look at the content, you look at what is driving. So you equally need to use your local intelligence. And for all you care, I've been one of those who have been radical to challenge data in so many respects. To say, hey, guy, like during the COVID, no data showed us that Owambe show and Turn Up Radio was going to trend. But we created it, and Nigerians immediately turned over, and the rating went off the roof. So you can actually take control of that data. If you have good, solid content, well researched to say, hey, what do people want? Where can I position it? So anything can change anytime. But you must be deliberate, you must be intentional, you must be constructive, and make sure it's something that fits. And once you eat the high balls, the rest is history.
Like they say. All right, so this is a great place to take a break, because when we come back, if you see Uncle Yinka's wife, we're going to go there. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. I mean, this is a great way to start Week's Exclusive for this year, and we're still with the Group Executive Director of Omnicom Media Group. I mean, he is in charge of West and Central Africa, the biggest. In fact, if you didn't know, Now you know. He's the biggest in the media space. If you don't know Uncle Yinka, I don't know what you're doing in the media space. But thank you so much. I mean, this has been a breathtaking, and I'm learning a lot, right? I'm learning a lot. I'm just, as you were talking, I'm just thinking in my head, how do I rejig all my content so that once I put it out there, you know, whether you like my face, you don't like my face, you know, you will put your money on my show, right? I mean, but thank you so much. All right, so I mean, enough of all of this business talk. So I see your wife all the time. First of all, you're a very beautiful, what do you call it, traveler, because you're always everywhere. You're always, you know, your job takes you everywhere and you're always busy. But there's something very beautiful about your relationship that I see online. And it's every single event, there's always one fine sissy. You know, she's always, I said Jehovah. She's always decked up. You will not know that this woman has graduates as children, you know, but I mean, you are very intentional about your relationship. And this is something I really wanted to bring up because we're in a society where a lot of things are happening in marriages, you know, so many issues when it comes to marriages. Why are you intentional, first of all? You know, is it because your wife is a fine woman, or
one of the reasons I need to showcase that I've made the right choice, and I don't have any regret. But more importantly is the fact that, like I said, that we are in this together. Nobody's going to go out of this alive. So till death do us part. So meaning whether good or bad, I said from day one, I've told you I'm not perfect. And I'm not expecting to marry to someone who is perfect. So you are imperfect. So your imperfection, I'm willing to tolerate. I'm willing to accommodate. I'm willing to. So please, much as I'm willing to give, equally tolerate mine. I think with that understanding would. And I think interestingly, the nature of our job is such a challenging job that's so time consuming, that is so engrossing, that if care is not taken, it could backfire on the home front. So I think what I've done to very early in my relationship is to be deliberate by bringing her into the profession. Interestingly, she studied marketing too, so but she's not into her space. But oftentimes, when I do assignment, I take her along. I remember when we are managing one of the telcos and we need to travel around to check all their billboards. I put her in the car, I put the keys in the car. We travel around together to say, hey, this weekend, I want to go around to check the billboard. Do you mind going with me? Go around. In the process of checking all the billboards, we equally make out time to do our own social outing.
Other matters.
And all of that. And at the end of the day, you find out that it got to a point. I know there are cases where I'm still in the office till around late, and I need to check my campaign on it. I will call her to say, babe, are you home? Can you help me check this? So over time, she developed interest in my profession. So in fact, there are cases where I don't even have to ask her. She just pick up, I've seen this, I know you would like to. So once you have the understanding of profession, so when I tell you I'm in the office till around 12 midnight, you understand, this guy is sincere. So, and I think that breeding trust and all of that. And I think there's nothing as good as being paid for your passion point. I like entertainment, like enjoyment.
I see it.
So, it's not that I do the enjoyment with sense, making sure that the brand.
Does it. Like literally you go to, there's literally no event. Do you know that I used to think I was an outdoor person until I started getting invitations. I had to turn them down. I really don't have so I love this one, the creativity. There's just walking behind the scenes. But you see that dressing up, you know, wearing makeup. I honestly just, you know, it just dawned on me last year that this is not your life, you know. It's not something that, but you do it and you do it. That's why I say you're always smiling, you're ever happy and all of that, you know. I mean, so that I mean, it explains why you have to incorporate her. And you mentioned something very vital, a word that is, you know, really in deficit: trust. Media industry is not particularly an industry where there's a lot of trust, especially when it comes to relationships, right? Because I mean, there are so many beautiful, handsome, you know, people all over lurking around. And again, for the position that you hold, right, a lot of people consciously or unconsciously would just be drawn to your person because maybe some are looking for something, some are looking for, you know, some sort of endorsement, right? So I'm happy that you're able to separate those things, and I mean, your wife trusts you enough to say, okay, this is what we're doing. So, but after that one, how do you keep that spark? Because she's always glowing. There's something about her eyes every time, you know, both of you are together. So, I said this one, I don't want to know all the things Mr. Yinka is saying on paper. I want to know you know, what is happening. So how do you keep her spark? There's a spark in her eyes that I see all the time, and it's beautiful to watch. You know, how do you keep that?
Well, thank you. That's a compliment. I highly appreciate it. But I think it's just a matter. It's a two-way street, really.
And in your eyes too.
Because
both of you are always sparking each other.
Because we are together and you find out that the kids are watching. So we need to be deliberate, we need to impression. I think somebody has one of my first sons to say, when did you see that fight? I say, I can't remember. Because yes, but we do fight. But we know we limit it to the bedroom. But when we go out there, it's like, so we do manage some
conversation, right? I was going through your Instagram, your favorite quote. You know, it says, if your presence isn't felt, your absence won't